Hi, folks. So how's everybody doing tonight? No, I got off to a late start, what was it, Tuesday night. So, but we're on time tonight. How's that for change? Politician who's on time. Imagine that. So many of them are so used to showing up, on politician time. Got it, man. I've sort of gotten a little bit used to it. I show up to events, see what's going on with some of the other politicians in the state, what they're doing. Being there at their fundraisers, hearing what it is they have to say. An awful lot of them are sort of caught up in their own little spiel. What they want you to know about them. Not so much about what you want to tell them about you. Because that's really what we do want it. We want people who are representing us. We want people who understand our story, right? So that's what I'm here for tonight. I want to hear your story. So, let's go ahead when you guys start showing up. Tell me your story so that we have a little something to go on. Otherwise, I'm going to end up sitting here all night talking about me. That's not what I want to do. Right? Yeah. So, while I'm waiting for the rest of you to join me, there we go. Yeah. All right. So, Andy. Oh, you came and you went already. Showed up long enough to like and then turned around and bailed on me. Okay, so right now, tonight, we're sitting outside Idaho Pizza Company on Cole. We're in one of those other little corners of District 21. Sort of hoping for a little bit bigger turnout. We got some pizza coming. You still got time to show up. I'll be here for about an hour. Whereas if you're not watching live, you won't know that I'm saying all that. All the peculiarities about the way things work here. There you are, Robert.
I think I'm on time,
All right. So, set it out the other night. Turns out a friend of ours got into an accident. Sort of hoping her health care takes care of her. No, you're going on the emergency room. Ooh. Trip to the emergency room without any insurance. That's gonna suck. But it's one of those things we sort of have to talk about. Insurance, healthcare. It's important these days. The reason why is because we got this broken healthcare system. It's broken. Right now, $1 trillion a year going into our healthcare system. Across the United States, across Idaho. Where most of it ends up. It ends up in the pockets of insurance companies. We really do have to find a method to fix that. The reason why is because healthcare. We need to do a better job of making sure our healthcare is affordable. Right now it's expensive when you go into the hospital because they're forced to charge you what the insurance company has told them they have to charge you because you're not using their insurance company. Let's face it, Blue Cross has set some pretty unreasonable rates for the hospitals to charge, the doctors to charge, for some pretty basic services.
I don't know if you know this, but in the state of Idaho, employers are not allowed to get insurance outside of the state. So my wife's insurance would be 100% free. We'd be covered on everything, the entire family, except that law. So I'm not covered.
Dentists aren't allowed to negotiate prices either.
Yeah.
How you doing, Katie?
So I guess the government's idea was let's just throw money at stuff.
Yeah. Well, basically, because of that, we pay for the insurance through our employer. It's like $2,000 or something like that a month, or something close to that because I do have a lot of kids. But if it wasn't for that, it would be free. But because of Idaho state law.
So I hope you're catching this back there because Roger's talking about insurance. he's got a single income family right now. His wife works. His wife's got insurance through the her work. Thing is, can't go out of state. They got a federal and, they got a national program because she works for a national corporation. And they have a national program. Could be working with a national organization as far as the insurance goes. But Idaho's got a rule. You got to buy your insurance in state. So she works in state. She's got to have Idaho insurance. You know what sucks about Idaho insurance right now? Well, something called the Medicare gap. Now, there's a lot of different opinions that go on about this. My friend Robert, he doesn't believe in Proposition 2. He's got his reasons. I understand them. But the way I look at it right now, we got an awful lot of people right now that are stuck in this welfare. They're stuck on the wrong side of the threshold. There's this poverty threshold. And if you're on the wrong side of it, trying to get over that poverty threshold, more and more it's becoming more like a barricade, more like a dam rather than just a threshold. It doesn't want people to get over it. You start getting close, you're getting close to there, and all of a sudden they start throwing up all these walls. You're on insurance, or you're on welfare. And what happens when you're on welfare? You get used to eating off the welfare. You're used to living off the welfare. And then when you go out and get work, you start taking that away from you. It's not at a one-for-one rate. You go in, you start working, all of a sudden you're making $500, and your welfare dries up, it vanishes. You're used to getting $300, you're used to getting your Section 8 housing, you're used to getting all of these little welfare benefits because, well, you're broke, you're poor, you're indigent, you got kids, so you're home raising them, you can't get out and work, and you get caught in this trap.
You reach out for a hand and then you get stuck.
Right?
I've known people like that.
You reach out, you say, okay, I'm here, I need help. And all of a sudden you're caught on the wrong side of the threshold. Well, Proposition 2, my take on it right now anyway, is makes it so that threshold isn't so damn high. Makes it not so hard to get over. It helps get you into a position where you can actually take care of yourself and take care of your family. Before you lose all of these benefits, you're able to actually get to where you're earning enough to take care of yourself without the benefits, before you start losing them. Awesome, my pizza's here. We got 1, 2, 3. Who likes cheese pizza?
That's not pizza. That's cheesy bread with sauce.
Okay, cheesy bread with sauce. It's not real pizza. But how you doing, Chaz? So Proposition 2, I'm a big fan of it. I think it'll help an awful lot of people in Idaho. What is it, 60,000 that are caught in the Medicare gap right now, where they don't make enough to get the supplemental that the states are supposed to offer, but they're making too much to actually be on Medicare. So Proposition 2, I'm a big fan of it. I know some of you aren't, but I got my reasons for it. Now, for those of you who do like it, there's a number of politicians out there right now that are saying, nope, I don't care if the people want it. People vote for it, I'm going to turn around and work to make sure it goes away. Well, I don't know, but, that's an awful lot of money that's actually ours. It was ours. The feds took it, pulled it out of our payroll taxes, stuck it in a fund back in Washington, D.C. And right now it's sitting in a vault somewhere waiting for the United States government to go ahead and steal it so they can pay for wars and tax breaks for rich people. But that's our money. We paid into that fund. As long as it's there and they want to give it back to us, why not take it back? Now Proposition 2. It's a Band-Aid. I know it is. It's a Band-Aid. It's a temporary fix. Reason why is because if you don't actually go in and fix the root cause of the problem, that Band-Aid just gets full and it goes away, and you know, you actually need to fix the healthcare system. And what exactly that means, well, there's a bunch of people out there with a bunch of different ideas. Some of them bet, yeah, corporate DC, yep, it's about the rent seekers, man. They want to keep you poor. They want to keep you paying that rent. Paying rent for shit you don't actually need. Or paying rent for shit that you should own. Yeah.
Well, one thing I don't know if people are aware of it in Boise, they a lot of the rentals, the reason they're going up so high isn't because, you know, actual investors are coming in and buying houses. Yes, they are, but they're a corporation that's coming in and purchasing large chunks of homes, and then they can set the prices for rent.
Okay, so what Robert's talking about right here is housing, affordable housing in Boise, affordable housing in Idaho. I mean, really, it's about all Idaho. And we've actually reached a point right now where there are real estate corporations, mostly out of California, because they got plenty of money to burn. They go down there, they get sick of dealing with things down in California. They turn around and sell the 3,000 square foot home for $2.5 million. You know, they come up here, they buy 6, 7 houses. You know,
they were expecting a tech boom a few years back.
Right.
It didn't happen. So
our tech boom that never happened. We got a whole bunch of land out here.
For everything and set the bar high.
Yeah.
Well, the California corporations were getting into it like towards the end of the last bubble, like 2008. They were starting to get into it, and then a lot of them got burnt in that because they came in and they bought, you know, like sections of subdivisions, literally. And so people are actually leaving California, and they already had a house that they had purchased down in California, in Idaho, before they even moved up here because they were being sold to these corporations.
So anyway, we got a problem with affordable housing in Idaho. It's not like we got a shortage of land. We got plenty of land to build on. You know, but we got a couple things that are causing problems. One is we got a bunch of people immigrating. You know, I like to say they're immigrating from the I-5 corridor. You know, that place along the West Coast where all of those liberals are. You know, Portland, Seattle, San Francisco. Now, I know some of them mean well, but they're leaving there for a reason. Yep. Stand your ground, definitely. No. A lot of these people have come up from California. They've sold very expensive properties. They've come up here. And for them, the properties that they're buying are still relatively expensive. Even though they come in, they pay cash. You know, they get 5 houses for the same price they just sold, you know, their little 3,000 square footer out of, you know, San Bernardino or someplace. So they're up here. They're buying up properties. They're turning around and renting them out. And they're basically raising prices on everything. You know, and they can get away with it right now. And it's causing an actual housing, it's causing a housing crisis. We actually have students here in Idaho, here in Boise, that are homeless. They're living on the street. You know, the showers they get when they hit the school gym locker. And just how bad is that situation? We got homeless students in Boise because we have an immigration crisis. You know, now part of that is because, you know, 35 years ago, we went and broke the unions. We don't have any craftsmen here in this state. We don't have people with the skills necessary to build the houses so that people can afford them. So this goes back to, you know, everything's tied together. You know, and we still got people who are fighting what is essentially the worst right to work law in the U.S. Idaho has the highest per capita minimum wage workers in the United States. Highest per capita minimum wage workers. You know, our people are underpaid for the work they do. And we got people right now that are raising the prices on everything that we need to survive. You know, they're charging more for the rent. They're charging more for the properties. They're charging more for the food. You know, now some people go around and they say, well, the solution is give everybody a new minimum wage. You know, fight for 15. Hey, I'm not a big fan of the fight for 15. Well, let's face it, that ship has sailed. It's done. Bernie Sanders put pressure on Jeff Bezos. Said, Bezos, pay all your workers a minimum of $15 an hour. So Jeff Bezos sat down and he thought about it and went, okay, yeah, I can do that. I'm going to take all the bonuses I've been paying him. I'm going to pay my lowest paid worker $15 an hour. You know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to commit $1 billion to make sure that $15 is the federal minimum wage. Okay. I don't know how many senators and congressmen Bezos can buy with $1 billion, but I bet it's enough. Fight for 15, it's over. We lost it. It's going to happen. So, where do we go from there? Because we know that is not going to fix the economy. You know, just because nobody knows how to spend their money. You know, it's like overnight their income's going to double. They don't know what to do with it. But you know what? Those rent seekers know what to do with it. Double the price on everything. Rent's going to cost twice what it used to. The reason why is because people are making twice what they used to. So what happens? How you doing, Christine? Anyway, and that's my bit on the fight for 15. It's going to happen. Get used to it. Stop discussing it. It's a done deal. But we need to fix the economy so that when it does hit us, we're not screwed by it. You know, same with healthcare. We need to fix the healthcare. We need to make it affordable so that issues with the economy don't continue to make the prices of healthcare rise. You know, a lot of things that need to be fixed. Most of it is we need to break the power of the rent seekers. You know, we need to break the corporations that have been given tax breaks here in the state. You know, they come in, they get tax breaks, they set up, they run shop the way they want, start running the prices up on everything, and after they've exhausted our resources, they turn around and leave. In the meantime, all of the profits they made off of us, they've been heading out of state for the 10 years they were getting that tax break. You know,
corporatism is not capitalism. They are
right?
not the same thing.
Corporatism and capitalism do not equal. They are not the same.
Corporatism is picking winners and losers by the government.
Right?
Capitalism is a free market where everybody has a playing field. It is not.
Hear that? Capitalism. We need to get some language right. Reason why is because there's an awful lot of people out there confused about the language. You know, I'm a big free market guy. You know what free market means? It means we're not giving tax breaks to corporations. You know, it means that we're not using the government to create barriers to entry for entrepreneurs. You know, it means that in order to get a business permit in Nampa, you're not paying $5,000 plus fix-up fees.
Oh yeah, it's not bad. I just did it.
Right? And seriously, when you walk in and you say to the clerk sitting there, I want to get a business license, and and they say, well, how much money do you got? Well, sorry, but that's not going to be enough. And you turn around and ask them, well, who can afford to open a business in the Treasure Valley now? The clerk turns around and looks at you and says, rich people.
That happened.
Right? It happens.
To me.
You know? Clerk behind the counter says, you can't afford it. Reason why is because we only sell business licenses to rich people. Come on. We need to drop these barriers to entry. It's just common sense. Reason why is because we need entrepreneurs in the field. We need them creating disruptive technologies. We need them creating disruptive businesses so that we can make the advances we need, so that we can handle, so that we can fix our economy. Yeah, and crony capitalism, crony corporatism, I don't know, that's one of those things. Corporatism. It's a bad word. Corporatism, crony capitalism. That's what we're dealing with in America right now. It's not a free market. It's not this anarchist capitalist ideal. I think, because seriously, the corporate-owned state, I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like anarchy to me. Definitely doesn't sound like clear free market capitalism either. Fix it. There's ways to do that, you know. Right, what's our story we got here, Angel? Feeding the, yeah, stand for real change. Angela. Oh, yeah. Proud to be American, ashamed of my government. Yep, definitely ashamed of our government.
Well, we got a second.
Yeah.
Let's talk about pro-choice versus pro-birth.
Pro-choice, right?
Yeah.
Pro-choice. What is it we got here in Idaho?
Let's flip this.
We got a bunch of pro-life people, right? We got a bunch of pro-lifers. So, talking about that, reason why is because she's a little bit, has a more personal touch about it.
I'm a lady.
She feels a lot stronger about this than I do. Don't get me wrong, I support her 100%. It's her choice. But I'm going to let her talk to you about it. So I'm going to introduce you to Ginger here for a moment, okay? How we doing here, Ginger?
Hi.
We got ya.
Everybody wave. Everybody wave.
Wave, say hi.
Do you guys mind if you're on camera? Okay,
It's a little late now.
We like to ask consent around here, which is part of this pie. So Joe, being a pro-choice guy, is also smart enough to not want to dictate to women about just exactly what they should do with their bodies. So we thought, let's let the girl on the team talk about this. With a lot of what we're doing with this campaign, we talk about slicing up pie, as it's actually a metaphor, and we didn't make it up, for just exactly how to mediate. Instead of there just being two sides to an argument, how do we mediate? How do we find a way to chip away at pieces of this so everybody gets a slice of this pie? So let's say over here we have pro-birth, and over here we have pro-choice. And just really quickly, we're going to be talking about some adult stuff. If you have kids in the room you don't want listening to this, that's fine. Go ahead and hit the pause button. Listen to us later. My 4-year-old's about. He's right over there. So I'm not going to say anything too terrible over the internet. But I know people can be a little sensitive about it. So it's totally okay. Consent is everything, right? So a lot of people on the internet, they want to scream back and forth as to which side is right, don't they? A lot of people in the world, you can't talk about this issue without somebody yelling that they're right. But let's look at it with a little bit more compassion. Don't you think that over here, for the most part, we have a lot of people that are concerned about the lives of babies, and that's their belief, whether they're right or not. That's what they believe to be true. This is the lives of children that they're concerned about. Now over here on the choice side, people are placing a priority and their belief on the lives of women, and they think that probably scientifically life comes at a later stage. We don't necessarily need to be screaming back and forth about this. Let's look at it with a little more compassion. Everybody's concerned about somebody's life, right? And pizza is life, so we're going to go over this with pizza. So what if we got everybody moving a little bit more in the same direction for a minute? What if we could mediate this? Instead of yelling back and forth, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. You're wrong, I'm going to scream at you. You're wrong, I'm going to scream at you. I'm going to go bomb this place. What if we calmed down and looked at it with a little more compassion and thought, you know, these people over here are concerned about life. And these people over here are concerned about life. Don't we have some similar objectives? So, how do we get everybody moving in the same direction? Well, what if right here, this great big slice of pie, what if we said to some people, hey, you know, if you don't like the idea of abortion, what if we do some preventative care? What if over here, if we did more preventative care, fewer people were having that done? What if we worked a little bit harder on that, made a lot more care more accessible? We can't necessarily take care of the whole country, but right here in Idaho, in our district, let's take a look at how things are. It is a little bit easier, actually, and sadly, to go in and get an abortion done than it is a tubal ligation. And part of that is this odd bias that some doctors have about the idea that you might regret it, that you might change your mind, that maybe you can't make some decisions about your own body. What if we talked to some of them and said, you know, wouldn't you rather be doing this procedure than that procedure? If that's your concern, wouldn't you rather be concerned about preventative care in advance than having to do this later on down the road? Also, we should be looking at making this more widely accessible, more education. Vasectomies, tubal ligation. If people truly believe that they do not want to have children, let's take this slice out of the pie and give them a choice in advance. Right? Where did my plates go? I lost them. Let's give them a choice ahead of time. That's still making choices about their body, so that's a slice from there. It's a slice from there because fewer people are then having abortions later on because they knew they didn't want children, so they're having more preventative care done. Right? So we're, each side got a little slice there. We're evensies. Now let's take a look right here. We have some medical clinics, some health services, right? And these health services definitely do not want to provide any abortions, so we're not going to make them. It is their choice, right? Choice. It is their choice not to provide that. But we might say to them a little bit later on, if you, being your choice, don't want to provide that and you're pro-life and you're pro-birth, perhaps you could do a little bit more in your community action to be sure that women, once they have given birth, have more options. And what do we mean by that? Well, let's look at quality of life for women in this area. Childcare now costs more than rent, and we've just talked about how much rent is. How is a single mother out there supposed to support her child if she doesn't have any help? And is it really always up to the state to provide that help, or should that be something that the community is doing? Should these people that are so insistent that you have that child be providing some sort of child care? Let's put your slice of the pie where your mouth is. Shouldn't you be helping with this? If this is so important to you, shouldn't you be helping with this? Let's get our community in action. And now, over here on the pro-choice side, maybe, just maybe, if these people are helping with that, some of the pro-choice people feel like they don't want the burden of other people's children and to be having to pay their taxpayer money towards that, and they don't like that idea. Well, we're not going to raise your taxes. We're going to get these people to help. And maybe some of you like children and don't want them and could help. Here's my adorable 4-year-old. Hi.
Mom, can you come with us?
In just a minute. Do you want a pizza? He's the cutest boy in the world, so I definitely value the quality of life. But I also like the idea of not telling already desperate people what to do. I'd rather help them. So, here on this slice on the idea of helping and community in action, where in this state, someone tell me, where is the Adopt a Grandparents Foundation? It exists. Is it here? No. We don't hardly have any programs for that. And in fact, our churches that used to help with this stuff, our community groups that used to help with this stuff no longer do. So what if over here we said to our seniors, you know, you have a lovely senior center over here. Let us help you pay for whatever additional insurance you might need so that you can volunteer a couple hours per day for an adoptive grandparents group, where several of you are there and you're helping with the children, where people in the community can drop their children off and know that they are taken care of, that they are safe, that they are being loved by the elderly that have something to contribute. Because I know as a parent, the people I want to take care of my children are the older generations that are instilling the values I want them to learn. I don't want somebody that has to necessarily is only there for a paycheck, that doesn't care what happens to them, that is already overloaded, that just sort of neglects them. I want somebody that loves my child watching him and that might have fun with him and enjoy his company. So perhaps, maybe this community group could do that if we, as volunteers, pitched in a little cash to help them do that. Why not? Other states have that. We used to have a lot of those things here, and now we don't. Why don't we? Well, taxes and licensing and fees came into play. A lot of insurance companies, and a lot of people don't realize this, took a lot of advantage of the Affordable Care Act. And they said to employers that once had in-house child care, which is another slice of this pie, they said to them, if you are to have in-house child care here, you are going to have to pay additional insurance. And we want each parent that you have working here to get supplemental insurance to cover it. And we also want you to get a type of supplemental insurance additionally on top of that. It made it impossible. A lot of employers can no longer afford that cost. A lot of insurance for daycares went astronomically high. But co-op groups and volunteer groups are not subject to the same licensure. So perhaps the answer over here might be a little bit more about community in action. We're not doing it for money. We are doing it for the quality of life of our nation's children. And if we are really, truly pro-life, we care about who is watching and raising our children. We care that they live, and we care that they are living a life that is safe and free of harm. So because we care so much about these children, we are going to help. We are going to help with our community groups. We're going to co-op. We're going to have big auntie and big uncle groups and things like that. Maybe some foundations for grandparents, maybe working with those community centers and going, you know, we'll help you out. You're lonely. You're not getting visits. You don't have a lot of family left over. Why not spend it with some kids? Why not? They're super cute. This guy back here, he's super cute. He's probably had at least 4 old ladies come up to him since we were here. And they just love him. And why not just get to love them for a couple of hours and help some moms out. Help them get things like sleep so they are not crazy. Help them be able to work. Why aren't churches and community groups doing this anymore? Let's help them to be able to do that again. Let's negotiate with the state and with insurance companies and negotiate with these community groups about, this would really help. This would keep your taxes lower. This would give you some room to be able to have a little more freedom, to be able to say, I really don't like people having abortions, so I've done my part about that to help this situation. This is the one thing I can do, is to help provide childcare to some woman that doesn't know she's going to be able to make it on her own. Maybe, just maybe, she might decide that she could because I was there. Now, we've created a lot more choices, haven't we? We also need to take a look on this side of this particular pie at the idea that abuse, especially narcissistic abuse, has just become extremely high in this state. We need to help our courts be able to deal with that. We need to train our mediators. We need our mediators to train our police department, because we were talking about that, Joe was, the other night, about how people are calling in CPS and the police all the time. I tell you what, there is nothing that a narcissist loves more than baby blue. They love the idea of having children. They love the idea, and I'm not just talking about men. Plenty of narcissistic women out there too. They love the idea of battling back and forth about kids and tying up our court system and hassling our police departments. What if we had additional training on how to deal with it? And what if women, realizing earlier in their pregnancy, oh no, I thought that I was getting with my Prince Charming, and he has just turned out to be a bad guy. And I am concerned for the safety of any child I would have. I don't know if I can have a child just to deliver it over to Satan over here. So what if we let these people know, men and women, that there will be help for you, that you're not just going to send your kid off to be abused by him or her or whoever, that we are concerned about the quality of life of your child, and start looking at children's rights over parents' rights. They should have equal rights. And when we talk about libertarianism, we talk about something called the NAP, and we can post a link for that a little bit later. And everybody should have equal rights, and your rights shouldn't come over top of someone else's rights. It shouldn't come at the expense of someone else's liberty. So that includes our children. What if these women were able to make some different choices? What if these men were? That instead of pushing someone to want to get that done because they know that, oh my gosh, this is a really awful person, I don't want to be paying child support to this terrible person or raising a child with them, I thought they were great, but they're not. Do I have resources? Do men and women have resources when it comes to abuse? We don't have enough here. They don't have enough training for narcissism. They certainly have training for battering and beating, and we have some pretty good laws in this state for that. But how do we deal with narcissistic abuse?
And don't underestimate a neighbor.
And don't underestimate a neighbor. That's true. So we have now given these people some options. We've created more choice. Just because they maybe choose to keep the child doesn't mean we're not creating more choice. And if we're really concerned about the lives of people and women and the community they're affecting, we are concerned about them having a choice. We are also concerned that they are not taxing the system. So if we are less of a tax on our court system, that takes care of the money on this side, doesn't it? A little bit. That leaves us down to a couple of pieces. We might divide this slice up quite a bit. We might even say on our side where we're more concerned with pro-birth, we might say to ourselves, you know, I might understand that health is a big issue, that to the mother of two that just had a pregnancy that went molar, which means it never grew an umbilical cord, which means that that is a child that is dying within her womb. Maybe that was a planned pregnancy. Maybe it's hard enough on her that I don't need my 2 cents in there, that I don't need to, as one candidate was suggesting, I don't need to insist that maybe she faced the death penalty because she was trying to avoid dying herself so that she can be there for her 2 children. Maybe we could just go ahead and, I'm pretty full over here, I'm going to go ahead and let my pro-choice people over here have my slice. Maybe that baby had Zika, and I don't want them to just suffer until they die a year or 2 out of the womb. Maybe I can understand that sometimes that is a necessary choice for the quality of life. That I don't want precious babies to go without a mother, that I don't want them going and suffering for the short period of life they have, then I just want to go ahead and give my slice over. I want to go ahead and compromise there. And maybe over here we might still have some people, we could divide this up more ways, that just want to be right on the internet and yell and have their say and don't really actually give a damn. Maybe we have people that ultimately do want you to have choices and options even if they don't agree with how you're using those choices and options, because they know that they maybe don't want someone that isn't going to take care of a child very well to have a child. Maybe they actually care about quality of life too, and maybe over here we could consider that. Maybe everybody actually gives a damn about somebody's life. And if we could understand just that part, we might be able to divide this issue up a little bit better. That's our thoughts on this anyway. So what I want you to do in the comments after watching all of that is talk to us about what you think are some other slices that go on this pie and how you, I'm going to challenge you, how can you help? What are things that you can do to help this entire situation and the quality of life of our children in Idaho? What are things that you can do to help mothers and fathers and potential mothers and fathers and their quality of life here in Idaho? What are things you can do within your community to make this better? How can we take slices out of this pie and instead of yelling back and forth at each other, mediate a little bit? That's what we do here. I'm tired of watching a country just being divided on one issue for more than 30 years. What if we could just mediate it? What if we could fix it? What if we could make it better, even if it's just only here? It doesn't have to be everywhere. How about just here in our little area? So let's hear from you, and why don't you talk to us a little bit too about what you think lawmakers could do to help make this better? Not yell at each other, not tell each other who's right. How can this get better? Okay, I'm going to turn that back over to you, Joe. We've talked all about that.
Okay. So, what everybody have to think about that? I think Ginger did a pretty good job of, covering most of the bases. And as long as we're at it here, you can enjoy some of this pizza. Because as we all know, pizza is life.
It's a little grim, but
All right, so Ginger took some time to cover that particular issue for me, and I think she covered it pretty good. Yeah, there's some things we need to do in our community, things we can do to make sure that there are more options. You know, it's not have it or don't have it. You know, it's we know the children are going to get taken care of. If we have the children will be taken care of. You know, if, you know, we're properly educated, you know, we're able to plan without necessarily resorting to that particular option. You know, it's all about informed consent. Yeah. I try, Chaz. I try. Really, I do. So, what are some of the other things that you guys want to talk about? Because I think we pretty much covered that one pretty well over the last 15, 20 minutes now. Another one. I did a little cutie today. Went ahead and changed up my profile picture. I did have the legalize on it, and we all know where I stand on that. You should have the freedom of choice. You know, whether you're doing it for self-medication reasons, whether you're doing it for recreational purposes. You know, I believe that cannabis is one of those options that you should definitely have available. It's one of those resources that everybody should be able to use. But anyway, so I went ahead and changed up my profile picture today. Feminism, right? Feminism. Okay, we need to do more to empower our women. Yeah, not give them power over us, but to empower them. Yeah, give them more control over their lives. Now, a little quip on it, you know, America's Second Amendment, Bill of Rights, Second Amendment. We all know what that's about, right? Second Amendment, an Idaho woman's first line of defense. Well, it is, right? Because it's a scary world out there for boys, right? Okay, yeah, I know. It's a sick world out there. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of screwy ideas. And we are so divorced from this concept of consent that, you know, stupid things are happening all over the place. People think they can say and do, you know, things that they're really not entitled to. Reason why is because, dude, you don't just go up and grab somebody. It's not the way we do things. You treat a lady like a lady. If she says you can go further, you can go further. If she says no, you stop. How hard is that, guys? Seriously, how hard is that? Let's get back to the issue of the Second Amendment. Right now, Idaho's got a law. You got to be 21. Otherwise, you got to jump through a bunch of hoops in order to get your concealed carry permit. So right now, we got a problem out there. 21. 21, constitutional carry, constitutional concealed carry. You don't need to jump through a bunch of hoops. I mean, depending on where you're at, you know, you don't even need a license. Concealed weapon. Anytime, any place, anywhere. But if you're 18, you got to jump through hoops. You got to take classes. You know, it doesn't matter how well your dad taught you how to use a gun. Yeah, you're not 21. So you got to take the state mandated course in order to prove that you're qualified to actually carry. I don't know about you, but last time I checked, those 18-year-old girls out there that actually have a reason, usually a lot better with their gun control than the 21-year-old drunk frat boys. We need to do something to fix that. I think our young women need that access. We need to get that back down to where it's 18. So the girls actually have means of self-defense without jumping through a bunch of hoops, you know, going around asking the state if it's okay for them to do it. Matter of fact, 21. Bullshit. What the hell is with 21, man? You know, right now, there's 3 years where these young adults are stuck in this nowhere land. You know, they can be picked up by the Selective Service. They can be drafted into the service, sent overseas, kill perfect strangers. They can't have a drink stateside when they get back. Come on. No drinking till you're 21. You know, no constitutional carry till you're 21. Exactly when did we decide to penalize young adults being between the ages of 18 and 21? I think we need to fix that particular issue. Yeah, we shouldn't have a different set of rules because you're 19, you know, than the rules everybody else is following when they're 22. One set of rules, everybody. You're either an adult or you're a kid. None of this frigging in-between zone bullshit. What else we got? Come on, Chaz. Pay attention. Give me something. Anything. I'm running out of things to talk about. You know, I know it's getting late. You guys have been watching me for a little while now. What am I at? 51 minutes? Got about 9 more minutes to kill.
About vaccinations.
Vaccinations, really. We need to fix that particular issue. Vaccinations, it really needs to be your choice. I don't think that we've been properly educated on the issues with regards to them. I think a number of the studies that are out there are definitely biased. And our CDC hasn't done a real solid job of making sure that we get accurate information, you know, regarding mortality rates for the vaccinations, regarding, you know, side effects. Yeah, you got an awful lot of things out there that, you know, aren't good. The HPV virus, you know, some studies have actually shown that it's a higher indication of uterine cancer if you've received the HPV vaccination than if you haven't. You know, and this is one of those things, you know, 5 years they push this on a large group of people. And it's like all of a sudden they're beginning to understand that, you know, maybe that wasn't the best thing for the health of young women in America. You know, some of the others. I grew up. I got my vaccinations. I got my MMR. I got my polio. You know, so in one sense, I got survivor's bias. You know, what's the big deal? I survived. I lived through it. But at the same time, I'm not getting the same number of vaccinations that are out there right now. Yeah. And common sense isn't the problem. It's about personal responsibility. You know, we get the government out of people's lives. We give them back the choice. They become responsible for making sure that their lives are ran in an appropriate manner. You know, I don't think there is anything such as common sense anymore. You know, we're just too diverse of a country. There is no one common thread that holds us all together. You know, only one of the things. Okay. Yeah, I'm running as a libertarian. You know, and I believe in personal liberties. But I've been watching, you know, not the Republicans because they're pretty much set in their ways. I know exactly where they're coming from. I know exactly what their plans are. But I've actually watched some of these Democrats that have had to get outside of their bubble, run around all over their state doing their little grassroots thing, you know, need to talk to everybody. I need to talk to everybody. You know, and the thing they've realized, they don't have a clue. They have talked to people. And when they have had to talk to people and listen to them, they went, holy shit, I have been so disconnected for the last 15 years. I honestly didn't know this part of Idaho was real. Now, I'm not saying run out and vote Democrat. You know, don't do that. Don't do that. You know, but get informed about your politicians. Get informed about your candidates. Understand what it is they're coming from. find the ones that have listened to you and okay. So I come from the tech sector. We got this philosophy. It's fail fast, fail early, get on with the business of success. You know, when something doesn't work, stop doing it, man. Stop doing it. 35 years, GOP policies. 35, they haven't worked. Why are we still doing it, man? No, I get it. It sucks because the other option isn't that great. We got two totally different roads. You know, and the thing is if we spend too much time on one of those roads, we end up with a corrupt government. You know, I don't like the way the DNC's branded the Democrats nationally. You know, Pelosi, Feinstein, the Clintons. Oh my God, man. But by the same token, now you only got two parties to run right now. Unless you're brave, unless you're real brave. You know, you got Gary Johnson. He's doing a good effort right now down in New Mexico. There's a good chance he might actually get elected as Libertarian senator. That's good for us. But you know, when you don't have a choice for a liberty-oriented candidate, get informed. You know, understand the issues. Understand what those candidates and the roles they want. You know, become informed about the offices they're running for. You know, the governor. Governor doesn't write laws. Governor doesn't pass laws. You know, governor may get to veto a law when it crosses their desk, but they don't write the laws. That's what your senators do. That's what your legislators do. They're the ones who write the laws. They're the ones who pass the laws. You know, governor can have the best damn intentions, but at the end of the day, all they can do is sign or veto the laws across their desk. So you need to make sure that you're paying attention to what the actual powers are in those offices, and then understand the issues of the candidates that are running for those offices. You know, I know it's hard. You know, not all of us got a good civics class when we were in school. In fact, I think for the last 30 years, they've deliberately taken civics out of high schools just to make sure that you didn't understand what was going on, and they could turn this all into a friggin' popularity contest. But no, civic duty, man. Civic responsibility. Be informed. Be engaged. You know, work with your community. Work within your community. Understand the system. Yeah, because if you don't understand it, you can't fix what's broken in it. Yeah, and right now we need to go back and actually do a lot of reverse engineering on the system. Reason why is because there's an awful lot of people that have gone and created, they've manufactured the system that we work in, our government, you know, and it works the way they want it to work. It works for them. Yep, Administrative Procedure Act. Good question. I haven't actually heard of that one, Daniel. I'm going to have to look that one up when I get home.
If you ever want to meet with Daniel, Daniel's the biggest expert I know on administrative thing.
But yeah, I do want to know more about that, Daniel. Definitely want to know more about that. But yeah, be civically engaged. Be involved in your community. Be involved in your government. You know, work with your local community. Understand the way things work, because that's the fastest way to take it back. You know, understand who your candidates are. Understand who can be bought, who can't be bought. You know, and I mean, honestly, one of the best things you can do, run for office. You know, you're never going to agree with 100% with the candidates that are out there. You're not going to. Reason why is because you're human. They're human. We all have different experiences growing up. Goes back to what Chaz says. There is no common sense anymore. There is no common sense. We all have different experiences. We all have different ideas about how things need to happen in order to get back to the United States of America, get back to the Idaho that we believe in, you know, and the principles that we believe in. You know, the best way to affect your change, run for office. You know, it's a little too late this year. We're down to 2 weeks. You know, you're not going to run a sign-in campaign that's going to be anywhere remotely successful. But think about it. You know, county commissioners, school boards, state legislature, state senate, state offices. You know, seriously think about becoming involved in your government. Government by the people, for the people. You want to affect change in the way things are done? Run. Be the change. Okay, so, right? None of us wanted to come down to fighting in the streets, Chaz. None of us. You know, bloodshed, you know, that's just a total violation of the non-aggression policy. You know, we want to be able to cooperate with our neighbors. You know, we want to be good neighbors. You know, we want to be friends with our neighbors. We want to have a sense of compassion. We want to be able to share our experiences with them. Yeah, now, admittedly, right now, internet, like we're doing right now, you know, we're sharing, we're talking over this notional fence that is the internet. You know, but we don't live right. Okay, well, I take that back. We live next to each other because we all live in District 21. But for the most part, most of us have never actually met face to face. You know, our friends on social media, they're halfway around the world. What they go through isn't what we go through. What they experience isn't what we experience. Excellent. Thank you, Daniel. I'll take a look at that a little bit later when I got some more time. But, yeah, it's a global community. It really is. But we can make changes. We can make changes locally so that we have more freedom here in our community. We have more choice about the things that happen in our state, in our community, you know, right here in Ada County, in Idaho, larger. And if we do it right, if we be the change, if we become the successful example, everybody else will follow our lead. You know, one person at a time. You know, we all light our lamp. And once our lamp is lit, you know, we use that fire to light other people's lamps. Be the example. Set the example. Be that shining torch. Be the change. Participate in your government. Participate in your community. You know, volunteer. Sometimes it's that simple. Just volunteer. You know, whether you go down and help out at the food bank, whether or not you donate a couple extra cans to the food bank, you know, help paint your local church. Just volunteer. Help your elderly neighbor. Mow their yard. You know, maybe prune the old lady's rose bushes next door. Volunteer. Become a part of your community again. You know, it's rewarding. It really is. Anyway, running over time. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you all so much for your questions. Yep, never give up, Chaz. Okay. Share the video with all your friends. Let them know that I'm working on giving them their voices back. Talk to you later.